Okay, well, welcome to a little bonus video, I guess, for the week. This was initially going to be part of the larger mix tutorial that was just released, but if we included this section in that tutorial, it would have been like a 40-minute video. The original concept was to both do a mixing tutorial, specifically on the SM57 only mix that we did a few videos back, and also remix that mix as a headphone mix. So one of these mixes was made on these exact headphones, Hi-Fi Min Sundaras. They're not the most perfect open backs for production, but they're relatively flat and they can produce usable results. The other mix was also a portable home studio solution, but they're monitors. They're called the KRK Go Auxes. KRK sent them for the purpose of this video concept, but this isn't like a sponsored post. This isn't a gear review. I thought it'd be cool to do two different portable solutions, one of them a monitor solution, and then one of them a headphone solution. So the KRK Go Auxes essentially are 3-inch monitors that connect via Bluetooth. I believe they have built-in latency compensation, and they fit in a little compact case that you can put in your backpack and stuff like that. So first and foremost, what can you expect from a monitor mix as compared to a headphone mix? Well, as we learned from my original KRK video, a lot. This will obviously depend on the caliber of headphones you're using, specifically whether they're open back or closed back. But in general, there are some consistent tropes that you'll find on any pair of headphones. Headphone mixes tend to have the following traits. Overly wide mixes. Because headphones typically have a wider stereo image than most monitor setups do, it's pretty common to have too much harmonic information filling up the left and the right without enough information in the center. Because of this, frequent speaker tests are far more than just necessary. Take your mix to the car. Take your mix to that little like waterproof speaker you bring to the lake or something. Take your mix out of the headphones as much as humanly possible. These portable speakers will all have a different story to tell about your mix. And importantly, some of these portable speaker systems will probably be mono, meaning they'll come from a single speaker and not two separate stereo sources. So is it muddy and unclear in this stereo speaker? Maybe one instrument is way more prominent than the others, probably the ones on the stereo extremes of your audio image. If you find in this mono speaker that the vocals are being drowned out by stereo guitars or whatever is in the left and right, that is going to tell you a lot about the busyness in the extremes of your headphone mix. Another thing that headphone mixes tend to be is kind of inconsistent and not flat. Let me explain. Headphones themselves are rarely flat or reference grade signals. Even the ones that we think of as being the best headphones for production, they're not really flat. Many will have a peak around the upper mid range and they'll have a boost in the low end and typically a roll off in the sub bass too. Here's the frequency response for the Bayer Dynamic DT990. This headphone is often the choice for mixing and production on a budget. It's just often found throughout the entire industry, if I'm honest. It's a standard. You have to remember that we're working with really small drivers. I mean, my 5-inch studio monitors that I'm working in, they have a hard time producing a flat reference grade signal. So a 40mm driver is definitely going to struggle. So because of this, again, you need to routinely check headphone mixes on other sources. Although you should probably still do this with monitor mixes, but still it's more important here. Remember that consumer speakers and car speakers are almost also never flat, but for a different reason. They'll have a boosted bass and a peaky mid-range, usually try and match something called the Harman Target, which is a kind of a different kind of flat signal. This kind of tuning, this Harman Target, is a whole fascinating thing in and of itself. They basically tested thousands of people and came up with a universal frequency response that most people find pleasing. So that usually entails boosted bass and a boosted vocal range and a scooped mid-range. Throw your mix into these speakers, get different information from each one of them, and together, by piecing all these non-flat sources into one sort of bigger picture, we can get an idea of what we want from our headphone mix. And keep those initial notes that I just said in mind. Listen for how much of the stereo field is affected and the differences between the two mixes. So let's hear how the lead vocal sounds on the monitor mix compared to the headphone mix.
Honey, just put your sweet lips on my lips. We should just kiss like real people do. Honey, just put your sweet lips on my lips. We should just kiss like real people do.
So let's hear the acoustic guitar mix on the monitors and then the headphones. And finally, let's hear the mastering chain on the Sundaras, the headphones, and the monitors.
I could not ask you where you came from. I could not ask you, neither could you. Honey, just put your sweet lips on my lips. We could just kiss like real people do.
Okay, so just some quick 2 cents I have on the monitor mix versus the headphone mix. First off, I think as far as headphone mixes go, this is one of my best, but there are still some glaring issues that I think need to be addressed. The thing is, on these headphones, on the Sundaras, the headphones that they were mixed on, it sounds great. I think it sounds better than the monitor mix, but the more you go into other different sources, the weaknesses start to appear. And this is what I'm talking about with headphones. You're getting a wider, more dramatic mix, and oftentimes these parallel sends that I was talking about before during the mixing tutorial get a little bit blown out of proportion. I've found that whenever you're mixing in headphones and everything's happening right at your ear rather than in the space around you, a lot of times effects, compression, sends, all these different things are much more dramatic, too dramatic. And that's the case here. The monitor mix, it clearly has much more low end. It's not as bright, but it's also not as overexposed or blown out. I think there's too much high-end presence on the Sundaras, which is probably indicative of its frequency response, which is part of the reason you need to take these mixes out of your headphones and into other sources to see how your headphones are lying to you. Because newsflash, if you're using headphones, they're lying to you. Okay guys, I hope that was helpful. You can kind of compare 2 different sort of affordable options, if you will, and maybe get a clearer idea of what a set of monitors could do for you as compared to headphones if you're a headphone user. And with that, you can follow me on Instagram here. And if you'd like to work on a project with me, you can email me at realaudiohaze@gmail.com. Goodbye.